everybody, and welcome back to another episode of So Inspire Me. It's your girl Phoenicia. I'm going to make this video quick. I'm going to do my version of the face mask. I know there are a lot of videos out there, and it can be a bit overwhelming if you're trying to learn how to do it. I'm trying to make this video short and sweet and simple, so stay tuned. 6 inches by 6 inches this way. So my measurements for the mask will be 9 by 6. And so I kind of I don't really, like, I'm going to, even though it's a little over 9 inches, I just leave a little bit of room just for error. So I'm going to cut it right here, all the way down. Alright, I know you guys can't see on here the measurements, but I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to 9, and I'm going to cut it straight down here using the rotary cutter. On the video, on one of these videos, I think I showed you guys about the rotary cutter kit that I bought, and I told you, I don't know if I did, but the rotary cutter was so dull, so I was just like, no, I'm gonna get Friskers. It's the best rotary cutter that you can have. So with on top of the other one, and these, I see this one is a little, I cut them a little bit bigger so that I can just, because I was just cutting numerous ones together. So it's a little bit off. So let me trim off the edges. A little bit to trim them up, make them look a little nicer. You don't want it to be too big, because it's not gonna lay right, and your mask is gonna be uneven. So trim off the edges. And I hope you guys can see. I know you probably can't see. So when you do, if you're doing a 3-layer, this is a 3-layer mask. So if you're doing a 3-layer, you can follow these instructions. If you're not, then you can kind of get the gist of it, or you can watch another video, because I'm going to do other videos about how to do other masks. So this pretty much fits. So what you're gonna do is have these two together. I know you know that most of the elastic is not in the stores. They basically sold out of a lot of elastic. So a lot of the stores have the big elastic bands, so you can still use these. What you're going to do is cut them in half, or cut them in thirds, cut them some kind of way so that you can make more of the ear pieces. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to split this in 3s so that we can put it around the ear, and it works just as well. I haven't had any issues with people complaining about it. So I'll be right back. Oh, another thing I wanted to add was they need to be 7 inches long. So I'm going to measure them first. 7 inches, and cut it. And I'm gonna make this into 3. because I feel like it's big. If it's 2, I think it's big. So that's why I'm doing 3. You don't want it to be too big over your ear. Okay, when you're cutting your elastic, make sure you take all the little edges off, because eventually that's going to peel off whenever you split it like that. So make sure that it's off, and once you got everything off, it's not going to do it anymore. So, and it'll be fine after that. So I end up making 3 straps. Well, 3 earpieces. Let me finish cleaning this up. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's just to make sure that you get all of the little loose pieces off of there. Okay, my baby wants to come in. So, there you go. It's 3 pieces. About 1 inch on the shorter side. Now this is the 9-inch side. On the 6-inch side, about 1 inch or 2 inches in. So on the second square, I put the elastic on that line. So let me bring the camera. Once I measure it right quick, I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about. Alright. You see, about 2 inches in, I'm putting the elastic. So that's why I'm gonna pin. I'm actually gonna pin that. I'm gonna pin the elastic onto the 2 layers that's on here. Alright, as you can see, I pin it so that it can wrap around. Make sure it's wrapped around right. And then I pinned it on this side too. And when you measure that, it's like 2 inches away from it as well. So 2 inches on both sides. And then you do the same over here. And pin this other end. Okay, so after you finish with that, this is what it should look like. And I'm just going to let you see the measurements again, just in case. See, it's over the 9 by 6. Okay? Still should be 9 by 6. And then you're going to put your lining fabric over it. Now, here's where I put like a few pins. I'm not going to pin it all the way around like you would normally do if you were doing like a shirt or something like that. But I am going to kind of like pin it so that it can be kind of stable going through the machine. So you're going to take your lining piece and then you're going to pin it however you feel comfortable doing it, because you're going to sew all the way around and you're going to leave like a 2-inch gap, about this much of a gap after you sew it all the way around. So you're going to start from, you can start from wherever you want to start from, and you can leave the gap wherever you need to, but you need to have a gap so you can turn this inside out. So you can do it from here to here and then go all the way around to here and then leave that gap right here. When I'm sewing the mask, and you see that 1/4 right there, I'm kind of like having it aligned. That's the measurements of where I'm sewing it at. So some people are doing less than that, but I'm doing 1/4. See, there's another 1/4 right there. I don't know if it's gonna zoom in. There you go. So I'm kind of like right there. So that's where I'm sewing it all the way around the mask. And let me see if I can set my camera up. Fabric. So I'm starting off on the 6-inch side. As you can see, the elastic is on the side. So here I go. I would backstitch a little bit. There goes the camera. I will backstitch a little bit. And then go on from there. And I think I'm coming up on a pin, so I let my pins out kind of in advance like that and just hold my finger on it. And I backstitch over the elastic to make it a little bit more sturdy, because that is one of the most active parts of your mask, simply because you're wearing it around your ears and you're talking and you're making it move and things like that. So to the end, I leave like 1/4 inch of room. While the needle is still in the fabric, I just take up the lever and just turn the fabric around. You're not turning anything else around. I'm going to go down just a little bit more, one more stitch. All right. The needle is back in the fabric. Sorry, guys. The needle is back in the fabric. So, and what I do is just turn it around, and it's called pivoting or pivot. And I put the presser foot back down, and I'm going to sew down the 9-inch side. Okay, I know you guys probably cannot see, but this is not a tutorial about how to sew. It's about how to do the mask. If you want to know, if you want videos on how to sew, I will have plenty of videos for you to watch. And I kind of put my pen, this one I kind of put my pins at. I only put 2. So that it can kind of line up together properly. And I'm back at another corner. So about 1/4 inch of the way. I take it while the needle is still in the fabric. And you continue to sew. Take this pin out. Go over the elastic. Put it back stitch over the elastic. And back again. And then we got one more pin to take out. Back stitch again, and then back again, right? And then while the needle is still in the fabric, I'm taking out this last pin right here. You probably didn't see that, but and I told you I was going to leave a little gap so that I can turn it inside out. And I'm going to back stitch at that gap. take it off. Now, if you know something about sewing, you would know that you would actually see, I left that gap in there, and this is on the 9-inch side because I find it easier to flip it over whenever you do that. For you guys who sew and know, but there are some people that don't, so I'm going to give you this tip. Just kind of cut your corners like this, and then trim off some of the edges. It makes it easier to flip, to turn it on the right side whenever you do that. So kind of trim off the edges, and on the corners make a quick diagonal snip like this, but don't cut the seam, of course. Don't cut the thread. And then just go around it and just trim off, because it's a lot more fabric. And just trim off the corners. So it's going to look like this, of course. And then what we're going to do is turn it. Put your fingers in here. And we're going to pull it apart like this. You see that elastic coming out of there? And here we go. Pull it out. The elastic is very sturdy. I kind of check that just to make sure, because sometimes you think you sewed over something and you didn't, and the elastic fell out. That has never happened, but and what I'm doing is using my little pick-me-up thing from the Cricut, or well, the Silhouette, and I'm just gonna poke on these edges to make them, the corners, make them come out. See, like that. See how it's like this? So what you're gonna do is just take something and poke it. You can use a pen, a pencil. I mean, if you're marking it, nobody's gonna see that. So you could take this and poke out those edges. And see, I made it easier when I snipped the corners. So this is how it's going to look once you are. So this was the piece that I was talking about, and you don't have to be perfect with it. I just want it to be a little bit flatter so it can make it easier to sew. And I iron with my heat press. I'm pretty sure you guys do the same thing if you have one. It does wonders. So now that it's flat, I'm going to top stitch all the way around here. And I'm going to close the hole up first. So just going to take it and do a stitch across here. Actually, I'm going to do a little fancy stitch. I feel like being fancy. So I'm going to do a little fancy stitch from right here to close up this hole. What you do is you take this, it's like this whenever you get it. and you just tuck it in. Make sure it's all going one way. Don't have this going this way and this going this way. You're going to have it all going one way. And make 3 folds. And pin it down, sew it down. Iron it down so that it can lay as flat as possible and be able to go through your machine. I broke one of my needles because it was too thick on one of my masks when I first started sewing. Let's see if I can hold this camera with one hand and then hold this fabric. We're just gonna see how this works. Because I really want you guys to see what I'm doing. Yeah. Go slow because it kind of, since it's not pinned, it can kind of make the pieces run together. Alright. And you really don't need to do a back stitch unless you want to. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So that is that. Take this up. And you just sew a line right there. Clip this end off. Alright, now I'm doing the other side. I already did some of it. I wish this camera would focus. Alright, so this is the outcome. You see I did the bottom stitch as well. So I just did it. Just one little stitch across the bottom. So when you put your mask on, you're going to just take the over the middle part and put it over your nose. And this is the outcome of it. Very quick and simple. I know it's probably took longer for this video, of course, because I'm trying to hold the camera and then hold the mask and make sure that's right too. But it's really simple. It takes maybe about 10 minutes. It just depends. So if you want to see how I do some other types of masks, stay tuned to this channel. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Make sure you share the video so that others can see how to make them.